Knoxville is once again in the sprint car spotlight. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. The 360 Knoxville Nationals may not have near the same pedigree as the 410 event, but it certainly boasts an impressive list of champions. Guys like Danny Lasowski, Terry McCarl, Shane Stewart, Brian Brown, Sammy Swindell, and most recently Clint Garner have all claimed the trophy. Last week, Garner looked to write his own piece of history as he attempted to become just the fourth driver to complete the repeat. But it was a different local guy that put on a show Thursday. River Cities regular Thomas Kennedy on the outside of row one to start the qualifying main event, and he overtakes pole setter Mason Daniel to lead lap one. The 21K still out front at the white flag, but here comes Sammy Swindell, the legend, looking to cap a furious charge from 11th. Kennedy, though, having none of it. He slams the door to secure the victory and becomes the first Canadian ever to win a 360 feature at Knoxville Raceway. Friday night brought an even more incredible story, this one involving the 41 car of the late Jason Johnson. Lap 6, Joey Saldana slides past Cole Duncan for the lead, with Johnson's replacement, Carson Macedo, swiping second shortly thereafter. Macedo kept pushing from there, and when Saldana slowed in traffic, he threads the needle for the lead. That was huge because from that point forward, it was all 41. Carson Macedo completes an emotional run to put Jason Johnson Racing back in victory lane at Knoxville. All of that helped set the stage for Saturday's thrilling main event with the top 24 drivers battling it out for $15,000. Lap 5, row 2 starter Terry McCarl leans on the cushion and zips around top point man and pole setter Joey Saldana for the lead. McCarl gets some company 12 trips later. Carson Macedo back in the mix again, up from 7th and into the lead. T-Mac eventually fell back to 3rd, but he didn't stay there for long. The 24 found the rubber, which proved to be the difference. McCarl gets under Macedo on lap 23, and that would seal it. Terry McCarl secures his 5th career 360 Nationals title, which ties him with Shane Stewart for most all-time. Well, the big show starts tonight, and we've got an in-depth preview with one of the sport's most recognizable voices. Johnny Gibson joins us next. And welcome back. Well, the fun continues down in Iowa this weekend for the 58th annual Knoxville Nationals, where over 100 drivers from all over the world converge for a shot at $150,000. Our own Brian Shawn is down there with a guy who's been around as an announcer for over 20 years with the World of Outlaws to preview the event.
Here we are in front of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, just in time for the 5-hour 58th annual Knoxville Nationals here at the sprint car capital of the world. We are pleased to be joined by a very familiar voice here on the World of Outlaws tour, who you'll hear here at the Knoxville Nationals and tracks all over the country, wherever the World of Outlaws go. And that is Johnny Gibson, who has now been in that post almost 20 years. You believe it's been that long, Johnny?
A little over 20. My 22nd year as the voice of the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series. And what can I say except I am perhaps the most fortunate person in the world. I get to do something I love for a living. I get to see the world's greatest sprint car drivers night in and night out, and I get to talk about it.
There's something inherently special about this track, about this event. People come from all over the country. This really is the one event people all season long really do look forward to.
It really is, but if you compare it to other sports, this is our World Series, this is the Super Bowl, this is the Daytona 500, this is the Indy 500. This is it. When it comes to sprint car racing, you talk about the 5-Hour Energy Knoxville Nationals. You talk about the history, the tradition, the gathering of the clan, if you will. As you mentioned, the people coming from all over the country, all over the world. We've got people from Australia, from New Zealand. I talked to some people from Finland the other day that are here to see the 5-Hour Energy Knoxville Nationals and the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series.
So for you, do you kind of get more geeked up, so to speak, for an event like this? I mean, you're a pretty high energy guy anyway, but for an event like this is even a bigger deal.
I think so. I think part of it is just the fact that I get amped up about any sprint car on the track. That's what I do for fun. When I'm not announcing races, I go and sit in the stands and watch sprint car races. I love what I see on the racetrack, and when you get 100 of the very best in the world, the biggest event of the year, you can't help but get a little more excited.
Donnie Schatz has obviously owned this event over the last decade or even more. You think about what this guy's been able to do. He's made 19 A-mains. He's led the most laps ever here at Knoxville and the Knoxville Nationals. This guy's obviously the favorite again, but there are some guys that may give him some pretty good competition. David Gravel, Kyle Larson maybe at the top of that list.
Absolutely, and then you have to look at what Carson Macedo has done, jumping in the Jason Johnson Racing number 41. What a tribute to the Ragin' Cajun to put somebody that fast behind the wheel and have him do the accomplishments that he's achieved over just the first couple of nights in the car.
But Donnie is the man. He still is the favorite. He's been the best driver in the world over the last decade, you'd have to say. The pressure never seems to get to him. He's a pretty cool customer, and when he gets here, he obviously really dials in.
It really doesn't get to him, but I also think that he feels it. I think he just knows how to handle it maybe better than most. But the statistic that was really eye-opening for me, I saw earlier this week, since 2005, Donnie's average finish here at the 5-Hour Energy Knoxville Nationals, 1.17 over the course of the last 13 years.
That's an unbelievable statistic. Johnny, thanks a ton for the time. We appreciate it. We did have a chance to catch up with Donnie a little bit earlier today before the Nationals. His post-unveiling after winning the Knoxville Nationals in 2017, a very special moment for him. He's won a bunch of these and will be gunning for another one coming up here in just a couple of days.
It's very rewarding. You know, it's a long time. I've been racing 25 years. To think of, you know, all that effort that went in and all the time, all the things, the good and the bad, to be able to get to this point today is it's really incredible. It's really rewarding. It really teaches you can't dream too big, because I don't think you could dream big enough to be able to be a 10-time Knoxville Nationals champion, and standing here a 10-time champion. So enjoy it. Feel like a very fortunate person, and I'm going to do my best to try to keep building on that.
All right, Donnie Schatz, certainly the favorite. Should be a fun 4 days here in Knoxville, Iowa, the sprint car capital of the world. Jay, back to you.
All right, thank you, Brian. We'll have a full recap of the 58th Knoxville Nationals on next week's season finale of Midco Motorsports. Well, it's been a little over a month since Travis Robertson experienced the wildest and scariest ride of his career. We'll have an update on life after the wreck when we come back. One of the greatest race car drivers of all time, Mario Andretti, once said, "If everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough." It's that rush and the risk of the sport that many drivers are all too familiar with. Just ask Moorhead native Travis Robertson. It's been just over a month since he and his late model launched off Turn 3 at River Cities Speedway during our live television broadcast. Midco SN's Jody Norstedt recently caught up with Robertson to find out what life has been like since that wreck.
The 1R as well of Travis Robertson. So Robertson has slingshotted past Balkan now.
Felt really good. I just remember thinking the lap before, I'm like, hey, I'm sitting in 4th place right here. I think I was running for 8th before that. And
Strand still leads easily.
I was taking it easy in 1 and 2 because I could feel a rut down there. Going into 3, I didn't lift. I just drove it in there as hard as I could, and I just remember the car start to lean on me, and I could feel I thought I was going to roll over, and I could just feel that, and kind of got off the gas a little bit, and the car sat back down, and after that, I don't really know what I did.
Oh, somebody went flying into the fence coming out of Turn 3.
My only thought going through air, because I was watching, I'm like, oh God, this is really gonna hurt, was my only thought going through the air. And then once it came down, I was kind of in shock. The motor was still running, and I was just sitting there and felt completely fine. I was like,
good to see him getting out.
No, that could have been a lot worse.
Travis Robertson out of the car.
Travis Robertson says a sore neck that lingered for a few days was a reminder of the wild ride he had experienced. But in case that wasn't good enough, social media was there to remind him too. Video of the wreck was retweeted by NASCAR legends Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and our Facebook post of the crash went viral, racking up over 500,000 views.
Well, I guess I did something pretty spectacular that it's got that much views. I guess I did something memorable that I'm not gonna forget. Not something I'm particularly proud of, but I mean, you know, something that no one's gonna forget, that's for sure.
But Robertson needed to put it in his rearview mirror because the rest of his season was in jeopardy.
The thing that was killing me the most about that wreck was thinking that, God, I gotta sit the rest of the year out, that I won't get to go out and race again, and that was what was killing me the most.
That's when Travis's dad, Barry, came to the rescue. They worked on the car relentlessly for 3 straight days the following week in order to get the 1R and Travis back on the track.
Funny story was Tuesday night, they had just put the front end back together, and my dad was concerned he said it was about 11:15, 11:30 at night, and he was concerned the front end wasn't gonna line up, so 11:30 at night, he decided to wake up, come out here in his underwear and, put some parts on it, and he just couldn't believe that it lined up. So after that, then he went back to bed because he could actually sleep knowing that they did it the right way,
So just 1 week after his heart-stopping wreck, Robertson was back on the same track.
It's kind of like an afterthought almost, it's just back to the same old race. And granted, every time I hit a rut, I kind of feel a little bit and kind of think the same thing's gonna happen, but that's just something I'll get over it eventually.
If Robertson's perspective seems overwhelmingly positive about all of this, it might come from the work he does off the track. The Moorhead grad works at Community Living Services, where he helps improve the quality of life for people with disabilities by helping them live independently.
I've had a friend since I was in 1st grade. He's been probably my best friend, and his brother actually has Down syndrome, and it was such a treat being around him. So when I got to work, start working there, it was like, been doing it most of my life anyways and being around it, and it's just such a joy to be around all of them because they always have such a positive outlook on everything they do.
The same outlook that Travis can use on the racetrack when some nights just don't go his way.
When it comes to each one, you never know what you're gonna get. Each day and each night of racing brings something new. I mean, it's never the same thing each day. It's not some boring office job where it's the same thing every single day. You never know what you're gonna get, and it's just like that with racing. That's fun though.
Robertson, one of many guys hoping to find a little momentum Friday at River Cities. We start with the street stocks, which packed all of their excitement into the last 2 laps. After a late restart, the 14 of Jeremy Castro and the 3 of Steven Richards get pretty much side by side, and they stayed that way. In the end, Richards just a little bit better. He comes from 12th to notch his first win at the Bull Ring in 6 years. Moving on to the late models, the aforementioned Robertson had a great starting spot for this one, but bad luck strikes on the start. Robertson draws contact from the 55 of Mike Martin, and that would effectively end his night. Robertson forced to retire after completing just 3 laps. It might not have mattered anyway because Dustin Strand had the 71 dialed in again. Strand bested Shane Edgington for the lead on lap 6 and never looked back. He cruises to his 4th late model win of the season at RCS. The NOSA Sprints rounded out the evening. Brendan Mullen off to a great start in the 11M, but things went downhill quickly. Lap 3, Mullen wobbles out of turn 2, giving the lead to fellow front row starter Ty Hanton. Unfortunately for Mullen, things got worse. The red flag comes out after he and Wade Nygaard get tangled up. Both guys would be okay, but they'd also be done for the night. After the restart, Hanton gets a challenge from reigning NOSA champ Austin Pierce, a battle that would ultimately be won by the 2A. Pierce would lose his grip on the lead a few laps later, though, and Blake Eglin is there to take advantage. The Grand Forks native pilots the 26 to the front, and he would keep it there for the duration. The wait is over for Eglin as he finally captures his first career NOSA Sprint Car victory.
I grew up here. I've been here since I was 2 years old, helping my dad on the car, and started racing in, I think, like 2011 or something like that. Come close a couple times here, but never could seal the deal. First win of the season, first win since 2015, but it's the first NOSA win, so this one's extra special.
Wade Nygaard enjoyed a stellar month of July on the NOSA Sprint Circuit. Find out if the 9N managed to keep things rolling when we come back. The month of July was awfully good to Wade Nygaard, with the 9-time NOSA champ scoring 2 wins and 8 top 4 finishes in 9 races. Saturday, on the heels of a rough night in Grand Forks, Nygaard looked to get things back on track at Devil's Lake. To the Devil's Playground we go. Pure Stock's points leader Tom Bundy has been red hot of late, and he overtakes Bailey Cousins on lap 6 to put himself in position for a 4th straight win. A caution would bunch up the field 3 laps later, though, and that was great news for Lane Bachmeyer. He drives the 21B past Bundy out of turn 2 and holds him off the rest of the way. Bachmeyer snaps Bundy's streak at 3 and picks up his first win of the year. Jade Hastings won the first NOSA Sprint feature of the year in Devil's Lake, but that was also his last win. Looking to change that from the pole on Saturday, and he put himself in a great spot early. Hastings out to a solid lead, although Nygaard was doing all he could to reel him in. That effort would be aided by the caution flag, which came out with 6 to go for Greg Nikotenko. That set up a crucial restart, but Hastings stands his ground. He fends off Nygaard and ultimately makes his way back to victory lane for the 2nd time in Devil's Lake.
I don't know, it was a good race. I was scared. Really didn't know how it was going to end up. Our car wasn't very good, but luckily the track took rubber and we were able to stay in front. I just really want to thank my guys. They put in so much work on this car. It's unbelievable. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be nothing. I wouldn't be doing this. I'm living my dream right now, and to get a win tonight really boosts my spirits. We've had a rough year, and it's good to be back in victory lane.
The night's B-Mods feature would be a battle of North Dakota Highway 1. Lakota's Jaden Barnson had the edge until Langdon's Chris Kruk takes it away from his highway neighbor on lap 2. Meanwhile, another Langdon native would be hot on Kruk's trail. Lance Schill picked his moment and finally gets him with 7 to go. Once he got to the front, that was it. Schill's victory not only extends his points lead at Devil's Lake, it also moved him to the top of the national leaderboard for the Wissota Midwest Modifieds. One of Rapid Speedway's all-time greats looked to add another win to his already impressive legacy on Friday. Find out how he fared after this. Well, it is safe to say that Darren Cordell's switch to the stock car class has been pretty seamless. Coming into last week, Cordell's had 4 wins in 8 starts at Rapid Speedway. That was tied for the most among all drivers. Cordell's and company hoping to stay hot on what was a warm and muggy night in Rock Rapids. He'd have to try and catch one of Rocky's grizzled veterans, Rich Gregoire, showing the way early in the 32, and he managed to fend off several turn 2 attempts from Cordell's over the first few laps. Eventually, though, the 11K found its way to the front. Cordell sticking with that inside line to complete the pass. And once he got into that clean air, no one was going to catch him. Cordell leads the final 12 laps en route to win number 5 at his hometown track.
I knew once I got up to the top it'd be pretty good. That's what we kind of been setting up for, but it was good on the bottom too, so I'm pretty happy with how the car worked. I just focused on myself. These things are on a slick track like that, you better just pay attention to what you're doing. I didn't know how close he was, where he was. I just tried not to screw up anyone, and it worked out.
Friday also included a special appearance from the LMSS Touring Series. Pick it up on lap 3. Good battle at the front between the 64 of Corey Yai and the 27 of Dave Kukta. The two trade the lead, with Yai winning the battle. The 64 started to pull away a bit, but Kukta would stick just close enough to keep things interesting, and his persistence finally paid off late. To the white flag, Kukta wedges just inside of Yai between turns 1 and 2, and he goes on to park it. For Kukta, It's the first win of his 7-year career.
I don't even really know what to say. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited for a long time.
South Dakota's racing weekend wrapped up Sunday in Watertown. Terry Riley and Lauren Johnson would be battling at the head of the pack early in the Midwest Modifieds feature, a fight that would eventually be won by Riley. A little further back, Clear Lake's Tony Connell making a charge in the 15 car. He moves into second here after starting 10th. But his run didn't end there. Moments later, Connell works past Riley for the lead. But this one was far from over. Off a late restart, Johnson makes another serious bid. He and Connell sprint side by side over the final 2 laps, and the finish could not have been a whole lot closer. In the end, it's Connell inching out Johnson by a nose. The second best race of the night featured the late models. 18 cars took the green flag with Trevor Walsh driving to the early lead. He'd quickly be replaced at the front, though, as Nick Grail completes the inside pass. Grail still holding down the top spot on the restart, but points leader Chad Becker takes it away. The 12 car slingshots from third to first. Lap traffic would be Becker's biggest challenge after that, and he handled it with ease. Becker completes a perfect weekend, following up Saturday's win at Brown County with his 4th of the year at Casino. All right, that is our time. As always, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week for the season finale of Midco Motorsports.